Hi, and well, thank you for joining us today. My name is Al Hogan. I'm currently the Corporate Safety Director for a safety consultant firm in Pontiac, Michigan called Premier Auto Workers. Today we're going to do a brief video on safe electrical work practices and the regulations that flow in and out of those practices. Before I begin, I'd like to give you a brief overview of my credentials. I've been doing this work for about 30 years. I am certified in the field. I hold a Bachelor of Science degree from Oakland University in Industrial Health and Safety. I hold an associate degree from Macomb College in Fire Sciences and Psychology. I spent time as an environmental engineer, industrial hygiene technologist, a fire chief in Detroit for 10 years, and also I've done various workshops for Federal OSHA VPP throughout the United States. As I say, we're going to talk about safe electrical work practices now. In those practices, you've got several different regulations we're going to talk about. Firstly, we're going to talk about 1910-147, which is your lockout standard. Now, that was the fifth most cited by OSHA in 2005. In fact, there was 122 fatalities associated with persons not properly locking things out. And that can either be because they didn't have a program in place or they just didn't follow the procedure. 90% of those, I should say. Then the other regulation is going to be 1910-269, which is your electrical power generation standard. Now, the big difference between 147 and 269 you need to remember is that 147 talks about no energy in your system, while 269 talks about energy in your system. 269 is getting a lot more play, and we're going to talk about that in just a moment of what the impact is to you. Now, we're also going to be talking about NFPA 70 and 70E, which is arc flash and the electrical installation standards. Now, recently, in fact, on February 14th of this year, Federal OSHA has now upgraded and updated Subpart S, which is all your electrical standards. They have not done that since 1981. And what that impact is going to be to you is the fact that now arc flash is going to come into play, and your compliance officers are going to be taking a more serious look at the way you do your safe electrical work practices. Now, let's talk about NFPA 70E, which is getting a lot more play these days. What that says is that now you're going to have somebody of knowledge come to your facility and look at every area in your facility that has greater than 50 volts involved in it, and you're requiring your employees to work on that while it's energized. Now, what does that mean to you now, and what do you have to do? Well, one, you're going to have somebody of knowledge come through and identify all those areas. Then you're going to have to do what they call a short circuit hazard analysis. Then when you get the data from your short circuit hazard analysis, you plug it into a formula, and it tells you, one, you're going to give you your voltage, it's going to tell you your amperage, it's going to tell you the level of PPE you have to have. It's also going to tell you what your boundaries would be. And when I'm talking about boundaries, how close can you approach that with a certain level of PPE involved in it. Now, last year, or I should say on an average, the IEEE, the Institute for Electrical and Electricians and Engineers, has this come out and said that there's over 9,600 on the average injuries per year, persons that are being in contact with energized electrical circuits. In fact, there were 205 fatalities in 2005. Now, why do we want to do these things? Well, one, you want to be a good corporate citizen, don't you? And you want to reduce your cost. You want to eliminate the possibility of your employees being injured, and you also want to avoid any negative regulatory compliance activity. Now, going forward, in the next week or so, you're going to be seeing a video on best practices out there in the field that's going to help you eliminate and or reduce these possibilities. Again, thank you for your time. I'll be coming back to you real soon.